Waiting is hard for me because it means that I've done all that I can do and now it's out of my hands, out of my control, just waiting and relying on someone else or something to happen next.
I don't particularly like the concept of waiting. I don't like waiting for something to happen. I want something to happen now. I don't like dieting for that exact reason, because it takes a while for me to see the results. I want to see things instantly.
Waiting is hard for me because I tend to always live in the future and I'm a very impatient person.
Hi guys, it's Naomi here. I don't know how you find waiting, but I find it really, really tough. Whether it's waiting for the microwave to ping with my dinner, or waiting for a little video on YouTube or Instagram to finish, or just waiting for lockdown to be done. I often find waiting really boring, quite tedious, and I can find it a bit of a waste of time. You know, just thinking, I could be doing better things. I don't want to be waiting around. But I'm learning from some people who've got much to teach me, Christians from all over the world who are persecuted for their faith. I'm learning that waiting isn't wasted time. So today I want to tell you the story of a girl called Rebecca. When I say girl, she's actually a woman. She's a doctor. She lives in Indonesia. And as well as being a doctor, she was leading a little church in her village and decided that it would be a great idea to start a little Sunday school for the kids. And so she would be gathering kids together, teaching them about Jesus, and they were loving it. But there were people in her village that didn't love it. They didn't like the fact that the church was maybe getting a bit more of a reputation and that people were willing to go and explore it. So they had Rebecca arrested. She was arrested and she was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and it was a notorious prison. Like a prison where prison officers would only go in wearing full riot gear because the prisoners were so messed up. She was put into prison alongside terrorists and murderers. And the only thing that she had done was to teach kids about Jesus. It was a pretty gross place, to be honest. Like, there was poo on the walls. These women were so broken and messed up and dysfunctional that actually they didn't know how to look after themselves or the space they were in. And so Rebecca, I mean, if she was anything like me, I can imagine she would have been pretty scared going into that kind of situation. But within the first 24 hours, she really felt God speak to her. And so she asked the prison guard if she could have a bucket of water and some disinfectant. From day 2, she just started cleaning the cells of the women that she was sharing cells with. She'd go around and she'd clean them and just make it into a space where actually, like, it's a bit more bearable when you don't have poo on the wall next to you. And so she started just cleaning. And then she started to cook, and she would use her rations and share them with the women around them. Because often, you know, these women just didn't know how to look after themselves. They weren't in a place where they thought they were worth anything. Yet Rebecca would cook and she'd share and just show them that, hey, you're human. I can share with you. Now, 3 weeks in, like, the atmosphere of the prison's changing, and one of the prison guards comes to her knowing that she's a doctor and says to her, look, I've been having these really bad stomach cramps. You're a doctor. Do you know anything that would help me? And she writes down like the name of the medicine that this guy needs, and he goes and gets it, and he gets better. So 3 months in, not only is she still serving the women around her and helping them, but she's got 40 different prison guards coming to her with different medical problems and requests, and she's helping them as well. And at this point, the chief of the prison, the chief guard, he calls her into his office and says, the atmosphere and the stuff that you're doing is changing this prison, and I've seen it. I thought that when you came into this prison, I was going to have to watch you and that you were going to cause trouble. I was told to keep my eyes on you. But the reality is that what you're doing is good. And I want you to invite your church into the prison. And I'll let you speak about Jesus. I won't stop you. You can say anything that you want as long as you're here in this space. I see that what you're doing is really good. How nuts! She was arrested for talking about Jesus, and yet this prison officer, he was saying you could bring your whole church in and speak to everyone about Jesus. Now, Rebecca did that. Her church would come into the prison. They would serve the prisoners. And slowly, people would say, actually, there's something different about you guys. We want to know more about this Jesus for ourselves. Rebecca was released 2.5 years early, and she still goes back into that prison because during that time 47 other prisoners became Christians. Now, she could have completely written off that time in prison as like, this is wasted time. I'm just waiting to get free. I'm waiting, just for me to be able to go back to my normal life. Similarly, there's times where I'm like, lockdown, I'm just waiting to get back to like life as it was before, where I can see my friends and go and do all the things I want to do. And yet, in the midst of that, God had a plan for Rebecca, and he used her to transform the environment that she was in. And for the same for us, is that actually, wherever we are, God can use us to transform. God can be speaking to us. Waiting is never wasted time. God's always got stuff to say. And so we hope that today's session really does help you to hear him a bit clearer and to know that this isn't wasted time. God's always doing stuff in you and through you.